Good morning. It's Friday, July 10th, 2026, and you are watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and Jamarl Thomas. I keep trying to join the show without some kind of like weird spooge on my shirt, but I failed again today, 2 days in a row. I promise it's just either coffee or water. It's nothing untoward. Anyway, hopefully it'll evaporate at some point during the show. Thanks everyone for joining, unless that one guy pays the $5,000, in which case, it'll.
Yeah, for those wondering, no, I did not drool on Ted's shirt, so
No, not yet.
we are innocent.
We're
innocent.
counting the hours for that. Thanks everyone for joining us. Please like, follow, and share the show. We're here live Monday through Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. So Eastern time. If you're watching live, please like, follow, and share, and of course chime in with your live questions anytime between 9 and 10 a.m. Paid ones get priority, but as you guys know, we try to get to everything. All right, so let's get to it. Good morning, Jamarl. How are you doing?
Doing okay. It's not in the best of shape, but I'm okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't insist, because I'm the kind of person who doesn't like to be insisted upon. So I don't insist upon others. We're both INTJs. We know how to do it. Sorry?
You said insist upon? What do you mean?
Like, is something going on? Are you sure you're okay?
Oh, no, my stomach just hurts. No, it's...
Oh, your stomach hurts.
I woke up this morning and it was just in pain. And I didn't even do my show this morning.
Shit.
My mom, when she hit me up, anytime I don't do my show, my mom is like, "Is everything okay?" She thinks I died or something. And I think it was like 8:40, and she was like, "Are you doing Ted's show?" And I was like, "What?" It's like, "Holy shit, that's right."
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, that.
Although today, was it like this for you? Today, maybe it's because of the holiday last week. Yesterday felt like a Friday. Like I feel like today's
Yesterday did feel like a Friday.
Be working. Yeah.
It did feel like a Friday. I don't know why. It just did feel like a Friday.
Yeah. I totally felt that way. And it's not, and it's definitely, today's definitely not a Saturday. Today we've got DeProgram, TMI, and I've got DMZ coming up at 11 a.m. Interview with cartoonist Alexandra Bowman, for those who are interested. She's a young cartoonist, and she's going to be telling us why editorial cartooning sucks. I have a feeling I'm going to agree with most of what she has to say. Anyway, all right, let's get to it. We have basically the topics we have in the queue. I mean, obviously, we can talk about the Iran war, although there's not really new developments. It's more of an ongoing clusterfuck. But ongoing clusterfucks are worth checking in on sometimes. Do you want to talk about that, or should we get straight to this the shooting down in where was this? Oh God, Salgado Araujo. This was in Memphis. No, where was this? Sorry. I can't believe I'm so disorganized this morning.
We can get to the shooting. I mean, because as you said, there's nothing really new in the war that I've become aware of. I mean,
Houston.
There is a story that Vanessa Beeley ran with where Trump went to... Okay, so, Trump made this offhand remark where he said something like, "Yeah, I'll let Jelani do it. Basically, I'll let the terrorists do it, as opposed to Israel doing it, because the terrorists, weirdly enough, he doesn't believe are going to murder a lot of people, despite the fact that they've been ethnically cleansing in Syria." And so he's like, "I'll let Jelani do it. I'll let the terrorists do it," which is, there's so many layers to that. That's wild, right? Jelani used to run the Syrian branch of ISIS or Al-Qaeda, choose your alphabet soup. And Trump brings him in saying, "Good looking guy, strong pass." And it's like, yeah, a strong pass of chopping off heads. I mean, he's acting like chopping heads was a youthful indiscretion, as opposed to, chopping off heads. And it makes it that much clearer when people make the statement that, this is a CIA MI6 creation of sorts, or at the very least co-opted many of these people in order to work for our behest. So whether they're sending terrorists down to the Sahel states in order to disrupt what's taking place in regards to Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, or whether it's using it here. And in this case, people were like, okay, well, is that an offhand remark? And Vanessa, who lives in Lebanon, who was there in Syria when Syria fell, was like, that's not an offhand remark. And then you get Trump having the conversation with Erdogan saying, "I'm removing the sanctions. So if you want your F-35s, you're going to get your F-35s. Okay, well, why is Trump doing that now? And are these things related to one another? And the answer seems to be yes. Turkey, or Turkiya, depending on how you want to call it, has influence over Jelani. In fact, Jelani is only in that position because of Turkiya, the United States, and Israel. So he's not a person unto himself. So even though when asked, he was like, yeah, I just want balance for Lebanon and everything else. He has a massive military of terrorists that are on the Lebanese border. And so that's if I was going to say anything that's moving, it's that. But yeah, you're right. The war is basically where it was yesterday.
Yeah. All right. So this shooting was in Houston, Texas, and I apologize for not being able to recall that right away. So basically, this is very reminiscent of the Renee Good thing. So basically, ICE officers, DHS, they were allegedly looking for one dude. They didn't find him. He's still running around, but they basically they confronted a bunch of other migrants, and the one guy ended up dead. Salgado Araujo is his name. Immediately, once again, just like would happen with Renee Good in Minneapolis, the authorities immediately said he tried to weaponize his car. He tried to drive over the officer. However, 3 witnesses, now admittedly these are 3 migrant witnesses, but 3 witnesses who were also arrested, all had the same story to tell, even though they were all being held in separate places, separate cells. And they all said that no, he didn't ram the car, that he didn't weaponize his vehicle, that the officers in question were neither in front nor in back, but to the side of the car, and therefore could not have gotten hit. It looks like another trigger-happy ICE officer shot someone for no reason, and then shot one guy and arrested 3 other people, none of whom they happened to really be looking for at the time. And now here we are. I don't know. I mean, it's like with shootings of unarmed black guys by white cops. It just happens over and over, and you wonder, will there ever be any end to it? But there will certainly be. There's already controversy. There are already protests. The immigrant community in Houston and their allies have already mobilized. There's already protests. It's hot and spicy in Texas in July. I would imagine we will hear about this for a while.
Well, I guess the question is, will there be consequences? If there are no consequences, then this is going to keep happening.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
most likely not. Usually there aren't.
But that's what it boils down to, right? Like, it's one thing if like, for example, after the George Floyd stuff, and you got this mass uprising, okay, that's a consequence. Right, that's a clear, definitive consequence of the public rejecting what is taking place.
Right,
burning, like, it might have. You can make an argument that it's gone too far in some cases. I would argue that there were provocateurs in some of these cases, and in other cases, obviously, it went too far. It's protests. That's kind of the point of.
Or you could also argue it didn't go far enough.
And it's a protest. Like, the entire point of protest is not to be peaceful. I know people think otherwise, that we've sanitized it, where it's like, well, everybody's just calm and cool and collect. A protest is a threat. That's what it is. You have a huge number of people who are effectively asserting power, or at the very least, potential power that could be utilized if indeed XYZ continues. That's the point. I don't want people burning down liquor stores. That feels dumb to me. But from the standpoint of projection of power, yes. But I think what needs to happen, or what should have happened, it shouldn't need a protest for that. It should be just, hey, maybe we don't want our cops or ICE agents murdering people. How about that?
It's not asking. It doesn't seem like it should be asking a lot.
You wouldn't think, but apparently it is. I mean, these people think they're, immune to opposition.
And they're not wrong, are they? I mean, it's
they
like
don't seem to be wrong.
Nothing much happens to them.
Yeah, they don't seem to be wrong. Hence, it continues. It happens again. It does with impunity. So yeah, anything that happens with impunity is going to continue to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure, no question about it. Yeah, let's see if we have any questions we need to get to. All right, yeah, we do. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the reflecting pool. FU. So this reflecting pool wasn't damaged by trans women swimmers. Maybe too much rudder. Thanks for the $2. All right, be honest, Ted. John D. Cockefeller. It's a pre-game hog crank sesh. We all do it immediately before DeProgram. I do mine after. Avoid precisely this sort of thing. But yeah. Anyway, no Jeffrey Toobin type situations here.
Oh Jesus!
I mean, that's the thing.
I don't know how he came back to work after that.
Right?
That is rough.
He's back. He's at the New York Times. He's at CNN.
But that's amazing to me. All these people have seen his dick. And like the worst aspect of it, like him, like that is like the most undignified shit in the world. I understand that everybody within their context feels like when a person has sex, they feel like the movies or something like that. But if somebody watches it, it just looks ridiculous.
Yeah,
right, because it's outside of context. Like you're in a context with somebody else. Both of you are. It's loving, it's beautiful, this is a beautiful thing, that type of thing.
Powerful.
But if anybody is watching it, it's not like a porn set. It's like
if you've ever walked in on someone doing it, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. It's two randos in their 40s in undignified positions. That's rough. I feel bad for him because obviously it wasn't on purpose.
No, he was, yeah.
I wish he would have said, it's a beautiful thing before cutting off hair.
It was it was a weird. Well, I mean, it's kind of like a tribute to how boring Zoom meetings are. I mean, he literally was on a Zoom meeting with the New Yorker, who are some of the most illustrious writers in the country, or at least they used to be. And like he's so bored that he's like, I can multitask here. I can rub one out while I'm on this meeting with 24 people. Who's gonna know? And I'm like, why don't you just do the thing that the kids were doing during COVID and just like turn off your camera, go do it somewhere else, right? Just like,
it's like, Jeffrey. Well, I suppose he thought it was turned off. I don't think he started whacking off on purpose.
Oh no, it's totally an accident, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel that sorry for him for the simple reason that like, look, it's like Richard Gere. That story will always follow him. Like if Jeffrey Toobin walked into a New York City party, everyone would be like, look, it's Jeffrey Toobin. Look, where's his dick? You know what I mean? It's just like he's never going to live that down. It's going to be like, like I had a friend who gave a speech when she got her Pulitzer, and she said the thing that we all have in common in this room is we all know the first few words of our obituary, right? Pulitzer Prize winning, and he knows like that will be in his obituary. It will be,
or it will be talked about around his death.
On the other hand, I don't feel too sorry for him
in front of 24 people.
He didn't go back to work for the New Yorker, but he kept everything else,
But it took months. Like he was away for like 4 or 5 months, or 3 or 4 months, or whatever that number is. Sure. Like he went away for a while. He was like, okay. They caught me masturbating on camera.
They decide, like if some people can fuck up royally, and like and they're in. They're still they're grandfathered
that's
in.
A particular type of fuck up. Like that's humiliating. Like it's just humiliating. Like everybody masturbates, and everybody knows that everyone masturbates, but it's different to watch somebody masturbate.
Right.
And you're not even talking about like a 20-year-old.
Work meeting.
Yeah, well, I think it's a Zoom meeting, no less.
Well, I think the reason why Toobin got a pass is because he was doing it to the news that Trump was going to get indicted. That's what turned him on. So
he was masturbating to that, and they were like, "Yeah, let's talk about
Trump." I've never heard that at all.
Fact check it. It was when Trump got indicted before he got his famous mug shot. When it looked like he had a real chance of going to the pokey.
That's actually aroused by that.
Oh, that's what I'm going to say. You're saying that Jeffrey Toobin got so aroused when he was listening to them talk about Trump getting indicted that he just started whacking one out.
The two of y'all know people have got a massive case of TDS.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, it's not sexual.
Well, for some people, it probably is. For Jeffrey, that's the argument that I'm going to make because
like if Austin Butner went to prison, as he deserves, I would be over the moon. But I'm not getting hard, you know.
Well, that's because
Maybe Tubin does. Maybe that's his kink. I'm not going to rag on a guy for his kink.
I mean, listen, I'm telling you, that's what happened. The meeting was about Trump getting indicted, and
Well,
it looked
that's
like
not why he was jerking off.
I guarantee it was.
Oh my God.
It might have been. I'm going to go. I agree with Robbie on this one. I like this narrative better. That Jeffrey Tubin got so excited with
I
him
don't
talking about Trump
believe
in prison that he had to rub one out.
Oh, I like it. I like it better. I just don't think it's true. But all right. All right,
and my son got me a new hat, as y'all can see. So proud of that.
Yeah,
kid.
I see. Yeah.
So proud of him.
What is the U.S.
U.S. Border Patrol, baby.
I can't see the last part. It says U.S.
Border Patrol.
Oh, Border Patrol. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so proud of it.
By the way, we're in a place now where Border Patrol's not even like as bad. They're merely the SA. You know, the real SS is ICE. You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't come in illegally. You'll have no problems. Bye.
330 million people who are here perfectly legally have plenty of problems. But all right. Let's see here. Okay. John D. Cockfeller, instead of Pink Lady Apples 48, we need a chat bot named Blue Boy Lemon 69 that just sexually harasses Ted, JT, and Robbie. Right.
Hey, don't talk that shit up. Somebody will build that shit.
Like in about a minute. Right Hook X, thanks for the $5. After hearing your stories from yesterday's show, I'm truly sorry for the tragic life events you experienced, Ted, but I'm proud of you, of the man you have become, and appreciate you, and get well, JT. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. No, I mean, I think a lot of people have some. I mean, very few people haven't experienced trauma or tragedy. It's very unusual. I think I've met a few, but it's either if it's not one thing, it's another. You know, it's a disease. It's a loss of a loved one. I think like John Edwards, man, his fucking beautiful 16-year-old son. I think he was 16, driving on the highway. By all accounts, the police investigated. He's following all traffic laws, not driving erratically, in the speed, driving at appropriate speed. A fucking micro tornado picked up his car and fucking killed him. It was his one child. I mean, fucking life is mean, you know.
Live vigorously.
Yeah.
Like people always my ex used to be very concerned about death. And a lot of people are, where they are like, they have this palpable fear of it. And like I tell people,
death.
Yeah, death.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is like, you can die tomorrow. You can die at any moment. What's the point of holding on to it? Like, meaning, when you accept that it's inevitable, you're free. You're free. Live your life. I mean, like there was no way that somebody could have predicted a micro tornado is going to pick up a car and kill a 16-year-old. No way. And you could think of, okay, well, there were people who were 60 years old, were very ill, and yet the 16-year-old died before them. Mm-hmm. When if you were playing parlor market, you would have put the money on 16-year-old living longer. And you could do this over and over in various spots. I mean, obviously, like if you're looking at percentages, that from a probability standpoint, the 16-year-old is going to live longer, but it's probability. It's not an act of God, if that makes sense. Like, live your life, be free. I mean, you can't hold on to it. There's an unpredictability element associated with it. You try to push the probability in your favor as far as you can go, but beyond that,
I mean, you are allowed. Yeah. I mean, before we move on from this, I mean, which I think is important. When I had my good friend Scott Stantis, with whom I co-host TMZ America, he gave me some amazing advice one time. He was like, I was about to be fired from a job, and he was like, oh, based on what you're telling me, they're going to totally fire you. But he was like, take some advice. You're going to want to immediately hit the ground running. I know you, and find another job. He's like, don't. Like, take 2 or 3 weeks and just be fucking sad, and then put it behind you and move on. And it was sound advice, because if you don't do that, you don't process, and then it stays with you a long time. But you don't. So it's like, you do want to honor these experiences, but you don't want to brood. I think
we try not to.
Is the best way.
I know, when I fell back into the country, and I wasn't working, I wasn't doing anything. It was, my thing was, I may go fucking blind. What do I care about this other stuff? And the reality of it is, I did that. I want to say on purpose, where you just kind of, because I know that there is, just as a natural process, you're going to feel shitty for a while because you're trying to absorb this kind of new norm that you're trying to take in, and you just kind of let it flow its course. Like there was, like, meaning from my point of view, there's nothing else you can do about it. You absorb it, you process it of sorts, you reach your new norm. Because eventually you start, ideally, you start paying, because I'll speak for me. Eventually got to the point where I was like, started looking at the news a little bit, right? And you start feeling some kind of way about something that's happening. And you start looking at something else and something else. And then you find yourself sliding back into your norm of whatever that norm was.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you hit me up about DeProgram. And I was like, you had me at hello. Let's do it.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. A great call.
Pulled me out of the funk of that sort. So because I had already started moving in that direction. And when you called me, it was like, all right, let's do it. Let's make this work.
It's time. That was a great response. A fantastic response. So, okay. All right. So more. Here we go. Manchild 5000. We're going to talk. Thanks for the $1. We're going to talk about Trump firing the last remaining members of the election commission. Midterm election tomfuckery seems even more palpable.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, like, we have gotten so cynical as a society and as a culture to where when a president does stuff like this, our response is, hey, that sucks. When the response should be far more vigorous. Like, this is a dismantling of governance and basic policy in order to get various things accomplished. Like, we have an election commission for reasons. It's not just there for Donald Trump's delight. In fact, if it's independent, I don't even know why the president has the ability to do that. Like, why do we assume good faith?
We don't. Honestly, I think that this is all just a continuation of Trump's strategy of move fast and break things, right? And I guess that was Zuckerberg who said that, but it's Mussolini who kind of made that. I'm sure there's previous historians who have, analysts and political figures who've mentioned that. But basically the idea is, with Mussolini, is like, do something, do anything, even better to do the wrong thing or a stupid thing or a destructive thing than to do nothing at all. It keeps the public interested in you and it keeps your opponents off balance. And as you throw more shit at the wall, at a certain point, they can't respond anymore. And we're seeing that with Trump. That was every single day, there's a new fucking thing. I mean, yesterday, Palm Beach Airport renamed. It's now DJT. It's now Donald J. Trump International Airport. It's always some fucking thing. I didn't even put that into the mix because it's like there's so much other shit to talk about. And I think that, like, the opponents, the way you have to handle this, it reminds me of one time when I was a banker and I came home. I was wearing a suit and it was the 80s and New York City was New York City in the 80s. And I got set upon by like a little gang of like 10, basically 15, 16-year-old kids who basically swarmed me. And they're like picking at me, grabbing into my pocket, trying to get my money, trying to get my wallet. One of them ripped off my watch. And it was like basically being attacked by like locusts, right? And it occurred to me, pick one. Like, you can't get them all. There's too many. Right. So you pick one. So I picked one and throttled him. And then I looked around for another one. And then they all hesitated. No one wanted to be next. And they ran. It's like, pick one. So that's what the Democrats or let's say the left should be doing in a situation like this. Pick one thing, or maybe two, but focus on a few things. And just keep focusing and ignore the rest. Just keep it going day after day after day. If it were me, it would be the wars. But like, pick something. And they don't do that. They're like, oh my God, this is that. It's like AD. They're like ADD, right? They just can't. They're like, oh my God, but now he's doing what? And now there's, but now there's Vance, and then now we run. And so they don't do anything. They're paralyzed.
Yeah, but is that a flaw though, Ted? I mean, because when they take power, the president that Trump has established, they're going to inherit.
Yeah.
So
And
why would they?
they're going to love it.
Yeah. So why would they stop it? I mean, both
Well,
sides benefit. So why
See,
would
I think
you?
that's
Why
the
would you oppose
flaw.
it?
that is a
That's the
big
flaw in the logic, right, Robbie?
Yeah.
Like both
I'm
sides
talking about the
use.
left, the real left, like not Democrats.
Well, the real
I mean,
left, just like
yeah,
the
the
real
real
right, has
left.
no power.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I was going to say. Does
they
the
have the
left have
power of the
even
street.
any power?
They can break things. They can protest. I mean, Robbie, stay on. You put in the chat. Do the protesters trying to protect migrants in violation of the law get a pass, and why? Well, first of all, I think that's kind of like a conflation. Protesting, you can protest for anything. I mean, they're trying to change the law, right? They're trying to say, like, these people should be allowed to stay here. They should be able to stay here legally. I mean, protests are often about changing laws.
Sure, but I mean, maybe it's because the right traditionally is not very good at protesting. So no, I've been to plenty of protests, like gun rights rallies, that kind of thing. And to your point, JT, is that it wasn't a threat; it was a way for us to express our grievances. In this case, to the state government in Helena. It was when the previous Governor Bullock, he wanted to have red flag laws instigated here in Montana, and naturally, that's something that right wingers here in Montana, well, not even just right wingers, but a lot of lefties too. It's like, no, you do not get to violate civil law by confiscating property that does not belong to you.
And who determines the red flag?
Yeah,
who defines
exactly.
the red flag?
Exactly, because I mean, you can't charge me for a crime that I haven't committed, and you can't take my property without due process. So that's what Governor Bullock was trying to do.
Yeah, but if we don't like the cut of your jib, Robbie, that's good enough.
Yeah, no, I get it. So I guess the question that I have,
I'd say any man with a hat like that probably shouldn't have the right to bear arms.
obviously, I mean, I want to get an ICE one next time. The problem is that I don't support what ICE has done. I support the mission, I don't support the way that they do it.
Yeah.
I guess the question that I have, for y'all and for people in the chat is, if someone is in the country illegally and they have a deportation order that they should be sent home, then the people take it upon themselves to defy law enforcement.
Right.
Then don't they isn't there at that point some fuck around and find out attitude that comes with that? I mean, if you're
who's fucking around though? I mean,
if you're obstructing justice.
During the Vietnam War, people did not want. People were protesting, for example, the draft. They did not want, even though it was the law of the land that people were subject to the draft. The protesters did not want that. They wanted the law of the land to change. They didn't want these people to be subjected to the draft. They didn't want the war to go on.
Well, the war was illegal because it was a violation of the Constitution, just like the Iran war. So, as a right winger, I would have been out there supporting them.
No, but that's the rub, though, Robbie. It wasn't illegal because
that war was totally
the
legal.
country said it wasn't illegal.
But
like meaning the entire edifice of government is going to function as if this is a legal thing. We do all sorts of illegal shit. It doesn't necessarily mean that they consider it illegal.
Yeah, no.
And also, I would say
I get it.
And I would also say the protests that you guys were doing. For one, it's gun rights or a gun group, correct?
It was really a broad spectrum type of thing. So you had lefties, you had righties. Basically, it was civil libertarians, who are out protesting the destruction of due process in the United States. Because that's what a red flag law is.
Okay.
Basically, so basically, what it is what a red flag law is, and here's how I would tie this back into Vietnam. Just like Korea, the Constitution is very clear. Only Congress can levy war.
The Constitution doesn't matter.
I understand that, but if we're going to lie to ourselves and say that we are a constitutional republic, then the Constitution has to matter.
No. I guess the only thing I'm pointing out is what's true is irrelevant. What matters is what the narrative and
framing,
the way the legal structures function behind a particular thing. Meaning when the president comes out and says the Iran war should be illegal, but it's not. You still have Americans murdering Iranians. The Vietnam War, if you want to make an argument, was illegal. Okay, yeah, but it stayed in place, and the structures and legalities of it flowed from the fact that it was in place and that the government and everything else went along with it. I'm saying what's technically true is irrelevant to what is colloquially true. in the way that they actually process policy. That's the difference I'm trying to make it for this. I understand that people make the argument the war is technically illegal. Fair enough. You will still be prosecuted and you will still be thrown to the war if indeed you were drafted and you tried to get away from the draft. So it didn't matter to the courts that it was, quote, technically illegal.
Now, listen, I agree with you.
Flowed as if it did. And from the protest standpoint, look, philosophically, it is a threat. You have a large number of people together, almost like an army, anger at the government over a particular point and showing we have this much support for this particular item. I'm not saying that you guys went out and burned stuff down. I'm saying it's philosophically a threat. It's the public mobilizing for a particular objective, almost like the public was a military. And if that public turned kinetic, all sorts of shit was going to break down.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's the real risk that we're going to run into is that eventually one day, and I don't know when, I don't know where, is what's going to happen. It's kind of like what happened in Ireland, right? With the riots, after that migrant tried to behead that dude right there on the street. I mean, what happens when the population has had enough? The military or the police comes in, and then someone opens fire. What then happens once that genie's out of the bottle? Where does it start? Where does it end? And I guess the part that I don't understand, and I probably never will, is why there's so much energy on, I'll call it the left. I don't really know how you would classify it. So much energy for the population to protect people who shouldn't even be here in the first place.
Because they care about human beings.
But listen, we're talking about sending them back home, not killing them.
It is very weird. It's very wild to me that religion ended up on the right. Because if you're talking about the qualities that give a shit about people, you're talking about the left. Even to the point of putting their own bodies on the line in order to protect people who, as you point out, was here illegally, meaning the least of us as human beings. So you may dislike that, but it's just a factor of the left. We care about life.
You're also, the thing is, Robbie, if you
care about life, you wouldn't be pro-abortion. I mean, that's a hard thing.
Let's
not at all. Not at all. I'm sorry. You are out here screaming that we should be killing people left and right.
Let's not.
Despite your godliness.
We'll do abortion later, but right now, this immigration thing. I mean, so look, the reason, Robbie, that is that the left is always concerned with people who are vulnerable and weak and who are powerless, right? That's always like where the left is most concerned. And undocumented workers, illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them, they fit the bill to a T. They don't even have the ability to pick up the phone. They're worried about calling the fire department if their house is on fire for fear of being deported and losing their livelihood and maybe having their family broken apart. So that's the answer to your question. To put a clear point on it, you note that like most on the left, nobody's protesting like we want more H-1B visas. No one on the left is like, yay, tech bros coming in from India to take American jobs. You guys are awesome. Nobody likes them, cares about them, wants this program to continue. What we're talking about is people who are, and I agree with you that people who this affects the labor market. It hurts American workers. It shouldn't be allowed. The border should be controlled. We've talked about all that.
Well, you can't have it both ways, Ted. If you care about American workers, you have to close the borders.
But the whole point is we can see that the system is exploiting the illegal immigrants and they're exploiting the American worker by trying to pit us against each other. On the left, we see that we can make common cause, that we're all being fucked over by the man, and that we need to get together and work together because we're all being fucked over. That's why the lefties are sympathetic to these people.
Then maybe it's time for the left to pick a side. Are you going to be pro-American worker or are you going to be pro-open the borders? Because you can't have both. You got to pick a side. That's all I'm saying. The hypocrisy that's coming out of your mouth is outstanding.
Only rich people are for open borders, Robbie. Yeah. Like the Clinton.
It's not rich people out there obstructing the police.
No, but the internationalists who have been leaving of both parties, the Clintons and all these people who've been leaving the borders open. That's that's a rich person thing. This is a class issue. And the left is interested in class analysis. And we look at class analysis, we're like, do we have common cause with H-1B visa holders? Not so much. Do we have it with people, picking fruit, even if they take a picking fruit job away from you, Robbie? Yeah, we do, because we're all working class. We're all
bullshit. And here's what I want to call bullshit. 4,000 Americans are losing their jobs at Microsoft because those workers are being replaced by H-1B visa holders.
Right.
There is not one single swinging dick on your side of the aisle that's out there saying this is wrong or out there protesting. Who's in Seattle right now breaking stuff? But there's not. Don't tell me what should be. Now, your people get out there and say, oh, my God, you're enforcing the law. No, we got to stop that. Those devilish cops, we got to stop them.
But
Pick a side, man.
Politics is complicated, and the left doesn't.
This is not that complicated.
The left doesn't do a good job, okay? And the left has to pick and choose what it's going to protest, and it doesn't do a good job at doing that. For sure, if I were the emperor of the left, Microsoft would not hear the end of the H-1B visa program, okay? And neither would any other company do this. There'd be a national boycott. We'd be breaking their windows. We'd be fucking them up. But the point is that I'm not the emperor of the left, and the left basically kind of they catch as catch can. It's it's opportunistic. It's what can you get people to show up for a rally for? It's not. I mean, you're right, Robbie. People, I care about those Americans who are losing their jobs every bit as much, if not more, than about those illegal immigrants. I do. I mean, it's fucking wrong.
And by the way, we've talked about it. We disagree with it. I mean, look, you're making this argument as if you're talking to people who disagree with you.
Right.
Because you fundamentally are disagreeing with me. Because what you're saying is that basically the argument that you're making is about compassion. We need to be compassionate about the people who've come here from poor, destitute countries with nothing. They came here for a better life. I understand the argument.
Just to be clear, you're misframing this again, as you continuously do. You asked me, why does the left, meaning the first question that you asked me, and the point I made to you is the reason that the left gives a shit about it is because it cares about people. Uh-huh. I didn't say that they were right for, look, if you asked Ted and I about the border, we would probably say that, yes, the border should be controlled. Now, we may quibble about the amount of immigration, but we would agree with you that the border should be controlled. We would probably disagree with you about 4 million people being deported. So I don't think that disagreement is going to change.
If you ask us about 4 million is way too few. We need to deport at least 30 million.
It is outrageous that they are firing 4,000 people. Hell, the H-1B1 visa program in and of itself is outrageous.
Shouldn't exist.
So I mean, it's not like you're fighting or you're dealing with a Clintonite,
right,
who would agree that the border should be open, even though they may be very dodgy about the way they talk about it, and would probably agree with the H-1B1 visa program because it was like, oh, well, we need qualified people and Americans can't do it, blah, blah, blah. You're not talking to people like that. We agree with you with the H-1B1 stuff.
Listen, it's a solidarity thing, Robbie. It's sort of like, okay, the capos in the death camps. They were separated by the Nazis from the general population and basically told to lord it over their fellow Jews and beat them up and you're the boss, you're the capo. But the truth is, from a Marxist analysis, the capo was had class solidarity with his other Jews and should have been able to see that. But the Nazis divided and conquered them. But in the end, the capo ended up as a pile of ashes, just like the people he was beating.
Yes,
right? It's like the Judenrat, which was the Jewish community, the elite Jews in the ghettos who cooperated with and liaised with the Nazi authorities. And the Nazis would say, we want 10,000 Jews, give us a list. And they would, right? Like in the Warsaw or the Lodz ghetto. In the end, those guys all ended up in Auschwitz. The only difference is they didn't go in cattle cars. They rode in passenger trades with lace curtains on the windows. But they ended up in the same place. They went up in the same chimneys. They didn't recognize the truth of their class identity, which was, in that particular situation, you're not rich, you're not elite, you're Jewish, all Jews are being depressed, you guys all need to stick together. That's what I'm arguing here. It's like the authorities are dividing and conquering us here, and they're pitting us against each other. We shouldn't be pitted. And we have more in common with these poor fucking people who are just trying to fucking work. And they think they're following the rules, and then they get fucked around and then like misunderstood. But that's the answer to your question.
And used as a bargaining chip.
You'll never make an alliance with the right with that attitude.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah,
that's the whole divide and conquer thing.
Okay. I guess. I mean, if the left
By the way, the left thing, like being like not being divided, like the populist left versus the populist right, that's also divide and conquer bullshit from the authorities.
Yeah.
Tell you what, you can keep your illegal immigrants if I don't have to obey federal gun laws or tax laws. You want that much? Then throw me a bone.
Done. We'll work this out right here on the show. Okay, we have more comments. Thank you very much for all your support here. John D. Cockefeller, are you fellers familiar with Dr. Mark Perlmutter? I wasn't until this morning, and I shared it on the Discord. Perlmutter, MD with first-hand experience with the Gaza genocide, would be a killer DeProgram guest. All right, maybe if someone knows him, reach out. But otherwise, Robbie, maybe you can reach out, or I'll do it. F you so. Have you tried VR porn? You can even be an anime or cartoon. Thanks for the $2. I have not.
No,
I have not.
Look, I have a certain quirk. I don't know if I don't know if this applies to everybody else. This was something that Robbie said once where he was talking about the AI Jesus, or something like that. It's the idea of it needs to have a soul. And it doesn't. It's fake. And that matters. I don't even know the point of that. Even though I know some people, it doesn't. That not everybody cares. Not everybody needs that. But I need to know that if I'm doing something, that the response is not fake. The response is real. And you know what? This even got to me about friends. Is it enough to believe you have a friend, or do you need to have a friend? Let's say you're talking to somebody. You could be in very different states of mind. Most recently, there was a woman who, I guess she was trying to capture me. I didn't realize this, though. I didn't realize that this was her state of mind. And this went on for months, where to me, okay, we're just sending texts back and forth. And then when I get back into the States, I realize, she believes that there is a thing here. Okay, well, this is purely in her mind.
I've had that, yeah.
Yeah. And so, imagine that situation, though, with a friend and somebody who you think is a friend. You don't know as a flat fact that you guys are on the same wavelength in regards to the way that you're looking at the particular situation. And your response to that person, if it's not on the same wavelength, that person is going to look at that response as weird because you guys are not on the same wavelength. Does it matter? Is it enough to believe that somebody is your friend? Or do they actually have to be? And is there a difference if you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, I'm saying that. Yes,
I think if you think, I would say in that case, if you think you have the friend, even if you're wrong, it feels the same. It's good enough.
No, but is there a difference?
There is a difference because when
I guess one is truth matter.
First test, you're going to find out.
Yeah, I guess my point is, does truth matter? Is it enough for a person to die believing something?
It doesn't matter as long as until you find it out.
I want to believe.
If you ever learn the truth, it does not matter.
No, I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that truth matters and matters in a cosmic sense.
Oh well, I'll give you that one. I thought you meant psychologically.
Well, I don't know. That's a tough one to me. That's a tough one. No, but my point is, there's nothing going on in the mind of the AI person. Whereas for me, I care about what's going on in the other person's mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think for sex, or porn or whatever, that's important, for sure. All right, this one's for you. We have a lot more comments to get to and a couple stories. Para Illegal, thanks for the $10. Obviously, this is not for me. What is your favorite chess opening?
It depends on which side. If I'm playing on the black, it depends on the side because like many military matters, you don't always get choice.
Hmm.
People drag you into certain areas. I play the King's Indian Attack a lot. I like to play the Rui Lopez if I get the opportunity to do so. That's probably my favorite E4. On Queen's Opening, it's going to be the King's Indian Defense. I know this sounds very racist, but it's just the name of the opening. Either King's Indian Defense, Rui Lopez, or the King's Indian Attack are probably my favorites.
Okay, let's keep going. Waterways, thanks for the $20. Have a great weekend, and thank you for the show, Ted, Jamarl, and Robbie. Thank you also we couldn't do it without you. Sam Palmisano, thanks for the $20 also. California, Gavin Newsom just got a new bill for tax legislation to change the definition of personal tangible property to include intangible software applications and code.
What?
So now you will have to pay sales and use tax on software.
What?
Well, that's not that crazy. I mean, so like if you were to, for example, okay, so
Yeah, I need an example for this.
Adobe
That sounds
Photoshop.
great.
So in other words, back in the day, if you got a DVD for Adobe Photoshop and you uploaded that, you had to pay sales and use tax if you bought it in California.
Okay.
Now, if you download it from the internet, but it's I'm pretty sure Adobe is a California-based company, you would have to pay sales and use tax on that download.
So I have to pay tax on the download,
Yeah.
but I didn't have to pay tax on the download before. Usually, I thought
Well, not you wouldn't have to pay. You had to pay. No, you would not have had to pay for it. Yeah, I don't remember ever paying for a tax on a download for an app or anything like that.
for some reason I feel like I did, but
It
maybe
was a
I'm
flat fee. Like,
remembering it.
yeah, if the app is $5, the app is $5. It's not $5 plus 8.25%
Okay. So basically, you have to pay sales tax.
on intangible like IP. So, like for example,
If I download an audio album or an audio book
yeah,
in California, I have to pay tax on that book.
yeah, or I guess potentially if you downloaded a movie, an MP4.
I understand why California is doing it. They're trying to increase revenue. I get it.
Yeah, they're broke. And not to
Yeah.
mention, that's a major source of revenue since they have so much tech.
Yeah. I get it.
It's interesting. I mean, it's, Nick Riviera, the Hindu CEO of Microsoft, is offshoring these American jobs to India. That's certainly
Yes.
Sam Palmisano. Thanks for the $10.
And by the way, wait, before we pass that,
Yeah.
he's not wrong for that. He's doing his job. What's wrong is the laws allow him to do that.
Correct.
Like, meaning we can't entirely bitch at CEOs when those CEOs are told, "Hey, go maximize your profit."
Yeah, they
By
have
hook or by crook.
literally. You are told when you become a CEO that you have a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, to their short-term quarterly profits, right?
Yes.
And like if you violate that, like CEOs who have decided like, oh, I want to do the right thing, I want to pay my workers better, whatever, they've been sued by their shareholders for not maintaining their fiduciary responsibility.
Corporations are machines that are set to maximize their profit. That's
And
what
they
they
don't
are.
have it, and the CEO doesn't. It's the system. The CEO does not have that much
Latitude in
flexibility,
doing so.
latitude.
I mean, like, I guess my thing is we have a capitalistic system. We organize the system around how do you maximize profit. And what I think a lot of people mistake is that as if they're supposed to do some benefit for the workers. If he could get away with it, he wouldn't hire workers. Like, he doesn't give a shit about workers. That's not his job.
Right.
Workers are just a byproduct of him needing to make profit. There's a difference in those things. It's one thing if you have a society that says, hey, we want to make sure people are okay. Okay, that's society that needs to be organized around that. That is not our society. So when he's sending jobs like India or China or something like that, he's thinking, I can pay this worker $3 as opposed to 20 or 30 in the United States. Look at me making $27.
And he might go home to his wife and say, "This sickens me that I have to do this."
He might not.
Some of them do, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, they are a cog in the wheel without much latitude. If you want to change it, you have to change the bricks of the way we organize
No,
country.
that's profound, and we do have to sort of emphasize that repeatedly. San Palmisano, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Thanks for the $10.
Agreed.
P.W. Walker, Robbie needs to have it pointed out that a number of H-1B jobs are only going to happen because they want to get cheap labor. They're not just jobs that will be filled if they had to pay full rate. But that's circular logic, right? Like you're just deciding not to pay full rate.
Right.
I mean, if you can't afford to pay full rate, then you can't afford to hire someone. Mr. A. Lee, Ted is a Christian. I mean, I think that's true. I think I'm more Christian than most people who believe in Christ, in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. Let's see.
And in objective reality, that's what matters.
$20. Thanks to Sam Palmisano. Y'all ever plan on doing an afternoon, noon, or night stream for any more than an hour? Need to see the DeProgram gaming stream. Also, Jamarl, are you Hikaru? Both.
Am I in where?
Hikaru. Hikaru.
Oh, what is that? Anime?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
I don't know what that is.
Both kings and queens, Indian attack defense is what he does mostly. I'm looking up Hikaru here.
Well, we actually did the game thing yesterday. We played Civ 6. We missed you.
Oh, he's a chess master.
Oh, Hikaru. Right. He is extremely strong. He is exceptionally strong, especially with Blitz. He's probably one of the best Blitz players on the planet. Yeah, he's very good.
Okay, so
Hikaru Nakamura, if I'm not mistaken.
Ray C20, thanks for the $5. Ted, what were the wildest punk shows you attended? I saw, wildest doesn't necessarily mean best. Without a doubt, the Clash opening for The Who was wild and not in a good way. In 1982, Shea Stadium, New York City. The problem was it was oversold, and so it was jam packed. The crowd control was terrifying. People were like getting like trampled and stuff. The Clash were hated. The crowd was a Who crowd, and they were all they were all snorting mounds of cocaine. They
hated the Clash.
The Clash. Oh yeah, so the Who fans hated the Clash. I mean, obviously the Who invited the Clash because they viewed the Clash as like their heirs, right? But the Who was the headliner. The Clash was even though they were at the peak of their powers, this was during the Combat Rock tour. But the point is they were throwing shit at the Clash. The Clash they vibed off the hatred of the crowd, and they just charged full on into it, which just riled them up more, and they were throwing shit at them. It was embarrassing though, because I love the Who.
You said they charged at them. You're saying they left the stage, or you're saying the music?
No, they basically just kept playing through it and feeding off the anger of the audience. Kind of the way Iggy Pop, like Iggy likes to go on and insult the crowd, ethnic slurs, and then people start throwing shit, and it gets him riled up. He loves it.
That's insane. Can you imagine having to do some shit like that? Like you're doing a show and people are screaming and yelling and throwing shit at you?
Oh God, it's terrifying. And you've got maybe 2 or 3 chubby bouncers trying to protect you from 20,000 riled up psychopaths. And then there was Dead Kennedys at opening up at the Beacon Theater on the Upper West Side of Manhattan on New Year's Eve. They were supposed to play Times Square. Somehow they had finagled a permit, but then someone in City Hall found out the Dead Kennedys were going to play Times Square, and it was no. So they arranged this show at the end. It was apocalyptic. It basically the lights all went down, and we hear them start to play. Jello Biafra, you could hear him, and he's like, "What better way to toast the future? It's New Year's Eve, 1984, by turning it pitch black," and all the lights, including the exit lights, go out. He's playing. The lights come on, and there's people who have climbed the stack of amps that's 10 or 15 high. They're jumping off into the audience head first. It's 50 feet, I mean, they're going to, and it's just this roiling crowd of, most 99% dudes. And it was just insane. At the end of this crazy show, Biafra said, "Oh, we hear you guys got charged $10. It's like we had negotiated $5. Collect $5 on the way out, or burn this place down."
What?
So there
He
was
said
a
that
dude
from
at
stage?
the exit with a stack of fives, handing them to people as we all walked out.
He said, if you don't burn this place, man, they can never get away with some shit like that today.
No. 1984, man. It was awesome.
Those are better days.
They were better days. It's true.
That's so badass, though. Like, if you think about it, like when you're recounting this memory, do you recount this as badass, or do you recount this as, oh my God, this was the worst thing in the world?
No, I remember I thought it was badass as shit.
Yeah.
Sam Palmisano, thanks for the $50. I was at $50. Thank you so much. A great way to end the week. I was incredibly sad to see John leave so abruptly. However, Jamarl has been a fantastic addition to the show. I agree. And I really appreciate his commentary. Keep doing a great job, y'all.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good.
Sam's 100% right. Okay, so one last thing to talk about. Is Mitch McConnell alive? What do you think? I mean,
I don't know if Mitch McConnell was alive even when he was alive.
There's some Republican dude who claimed to have talked to him, who was on TV yesterday, and he was asked, and he was literally confronted. If Mitch McConnell is alive, call him now. And the guy's like, he totally changed the subject.
Define alive. I mean, if you're kept alive on life support, but you're brain dead, are you alive?
Are you alive? No. Oh, that's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. If you're brain dead, are you still alive?
No, you're done. There's nothing there. Your meat suit is, you're kept alive artificially with machines. There's nothing there.
He's obviously
the turtle is done.
I know.
He's roasting in hell as we speak right now.
With a living body.
I think we're in agreement on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fascinating question, because that question boils down to, is a person in a emergent property out of the mechanisms of matter, which in and of itself is a fascinating thing, right? And you have, how do these rocks become breathing and thinking and having a world and experiencing?
Right. It's great. We're able to agree that Mitch McConnell is roasting in hell
on the devil's court,
and in on agreement. So we disagree vehemently on immigration,
twisting on the devil's
court. And we fully celebrate the demise of the turtle.
Yes. I think, look, from my point of view, there's something that goes beyond matter, and that, whether you call it spirit. So I don't know what it is, but I do think there's more to reality than just physical experience. So yeah, whatever his body is doing, he is roasting in hell.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay tuned. TMI coming up right now. I'm running a little late. And DMZ coming up at 11 a.m. with Scott Stantis. Alexandra Bowman is our guest. I hope you'll join us for that. Have a great weekend, JT, and I'll see you at 9 a.m. Okay, bye. Okay.